The Dazzle Podcast is brought to you by the Dazzle Cleaning Company, the gayest cleaning company in America. But don't worry, you don't have to be part of the LGBTQIA community to hire or to work at Dazzle. I'm Logan, the founder of the Dazzle Cleaning Company. Welcome to the Dazzle Podcast. Each podcast will either be labeled as a client podcast or as an employee podcast. And the only point of the podcast is to get you information in the way you want it. Okay, let's get into it. All right, so this week, what to look for when you're hiring an office cleaning service in Seattle. All right, so you want to do it right the first time because you want this to be set it and forget it. You don't want to have to mess with this down the road. So first of all, ask for referrals. Is there anybody in your building or any neighbors that are using a company that cleans their office that they're happy with? If so, add them to the list that you get a quote from. If not, then go straight to Google or Bing or Facebook or wherever it is that you search for new products and services at. What you're going to want to do is reach out to 3 cleaning companies, get quotes from them, and compare who has the service that you best think fits with what you're looking for. So you want to pay attention to online reviews. Do the companies have a good online reputation? It's okay if they have a couple bad reviews. This is normal. All small businesses and businesses in general get bad reviews from time to time, but there shouldn't be a lot of them. And you also want to pay attention to how the company is reacting to a bad review. When something goes wrong, how does the company handle it? All right, so pick 3 companies that you think are a good fit and reach out to them for a quote. So what does the process typically look like? So first, you'll reach out and you'll contact them, either by giving them a call, sending them an email, or filling out some kind of web form on their website. And then they're either going to set up an in-person walkthrough with you, which is probably the most common, definitely the most common, or they might ask you a series of questions in an email or over the phone, or they might ask for some pictures or a video, and they might just be able to give you a quote remotely. And at Dazzle, we're able to do that for certain types of businesses, like small offices, we can do that for. Bigger places, we can't. But usually people like this, it's fast and easy. All right, once you give them your information or do the walkthrough, then they will send you a quote. And I will upload in the show notes what a Dazzle quote looks like, but it just goes over the scope of service, what's going to be included in the service, what's not included in the service, if the cleaning company is going to be responsible for reordering disposables like paper towels, soap, toilet paper, trash liners, that kind of thing, or if your business will do that. And once they give you the quote, so now hopefully you'll have 3 quotes, so a quote from 3 different cleaning companies. Then you'll want to evaluate those quotes, and we'll get more into that in a second. But after you have evaluated the quote and chosen what cleaning company you want to go with, then they will most likely set up another in-person onboarding or final walkthrough with you. And this will be when you're giving them the keys, codes, showing them how the alarm system works, showing them any areas that are off limits or that you don't want to have touched, showing where the garbage, compost, and recycling is. Sometimes there's keys and codes for that as well, or it's just in a weird area, parking, things like that. So specific things. And if you book with Dazzle, when we do that, we'll most likely take pictures and videos, which we'll upload to your internal client profile, so that if anybody ever has a question about specifically where something's at or how something's done, it's really easy to find the answer. Not all cleaning companies do that, but don't be surprised if that is part of it. Okay, so now let's jump back a little, how to evaluate the different quotes that you get. So first of all, you want to know what is included in each service. And office cleanings are there's a little more variation in what's included from company to company than what you'll typically find with homes. So you'll really want to pay attention to that part. You'll also want to find out who's restocking, paying for disposables, again, like toilet paper, towels, soap, that kind of thing. And you want to make sure that they have insurance. So typically when they send you their quote, if they're like a, organized, reputable cleaning company, they'll probably include a COI or certificate of insurance for your property with the quote. If they don't, it's not a big deal. It's just because it's like an extra step. And if they're doing a bunch of quotes, they just don't want to do it until you decide to book with them. But I know from experience with doing a lot of quotes for offices, a lot of times office owners have told me, or small business owners and managers have told me that they get to the end and they're ready to go. And then the person or the company never produces the certificate of insurance. So if they are insured, getting a COI is super easy. It shouldn't be a big delay or anything. It just takes a couple minutes. So ask for the COI, they'll send you the COI. If they don't send you a COI, it means they either have a very high level of disorganization going on, or they're just not insured, or they're not insured to the specifications that you're requiring. For example, in Seattle, even if the business doesn't care that much about what the insurance requirements are, they might be leasing in a building that requires that all of the vendors, like your cleaning company, has $1 million umbrella policy. And so if they only have 500,000 or 300, whatever, then they probably don't want to change their insurance for one client. And so they might be just not giving it to you. If that is something that's important to you, make sure you get the COI before you choose which service you're going to go with. Okay, so now it's time for this week's Snappy News. And now it's time for this week's Snappy News, Snappy News, Snappy News. This week, MSN reported a Danish biker is facing 86 charges after his helmet cam snitched on him like a Scandinavian America's Dumbest Criminals. Turns out when you're breaking the law, you might not want to live stream it on Instagram. NPR reported that Vladimir, a beluga whale suspected of being a former Russian spy, was found dead off the Norwegian coast this weekend. The whale gained international attention in 2019 when he was discovered wearing a camera harness labeled Equipment St. Petersburg, fueling suspicion about his involvement in a Russian marine mammal military program. His nickname combined the Norwegian word for whale and Vladimir Putin's first name. And I know that I can't say the word whale properly. My friends make fun of me all the time. I'm sorry. Despite his mysterious origins, he became beloved for his friendly interactions with humans along the Norwegian coast, going viral for playful behaviors like retrieving dropped objects and playing fetch. However, his proximity to human activity led to injuries and concerns for his safety. Conservation groups have been planning to relocate him to an Arctic beluga population, but he was found dead in Norway at the estimated age of 14 to 15 years old, short of the 30-year lifespan for belugas. The exact cause of his premature death is pending investigation. That's a sad story. I love whales. I'm from Alaska, and we got to see a lot of whales up there. And this is directly from The Onion. Farmington Hills, Michigan, discussing the Second Amendment with Oprah Winfrey at a Michigan town hall last night, Vice President Kamala Harris admitted that she may have gotten too comfortable when she remarked that any home intruders, burglars, litter bugs, or slow walkers near her house could expect to be shot. If somebody breaks into my house, knocks on my door to sell me something, or leaves their dog's waste on my line, they're getting shot, the Democratic presidential nominee said in an attempt to bridge the gap with conservative gun owners in the swing state, drawing applause as she pantomimed looking through a rifle scope at the audience to then mimic the sound of gunfire. If you trespass onto my property or take my plate away from the table before I'm finished eating, I'm going to take you out, as is my right as an American citizen. Let this serve as a warning to anyone who steals my mail, runs down the airplane aisle to deboard before it's their turn, or talks too loudly in a movie theater. These things upset me, and I'm not afraid to defend myself accordingly. Also goes for drivers who don't signal, heavy mouth breathers, or if I just don't like your face. Boom. Later in the interview, Harris drew a gun from her inside jacket and fired a warning shot into the air after someone in the audience answered a call on speakerphone. That's funny because Kamala Harris isn't crazy and Donald Trump is. And if he said something like that, we wouldn't even be surprised and it wouldn't affect the polls. And that's this week's Snappy News. So how much does an office cleaning cost in Seattle? Okay, so let's say you have 1,000 square foot office with one bathroom it's not like multiple stalls, it's just one bathroom. Maybe there's a shower in there and a break room with a kitchenette and a small waiting room. If you'd like to have this cleaned every week, it's going to be about $180 per week. Now, what if your bid comes back really high? You can talk to the company about the scope of work. So let me give you an example for this. Last year, I did a quote for a textile company. They sew stuff at a really cool old building in Ballard. And the owner and the manager were there, and I thought, it is going to be a nightmare to get this place looking up to our typical Dazzle standards. So I knew that it would just take dozens of hours with multiple people. But I also felt like that's not what they were looking for. I let them know that their quote is going to be really high. And if they get quotes from other cleaning companies, it's probably also going to be really high. And the reason is because we at the cleaning companies really don't want to have disappointed clients or, just anyone who doesn't like the service. So we're going to offer you a service that matches the expectations that we think that our company should be delivering. But I told them that if I was mistaken and if what they really wanted was just the garbage just taken out, vacuum, mop, like a quick thing, and knowing it's a big like old industrial space. There's still going to be dirt everywhere. It's not even like the floors, they're concrete and they hadn't been cleaned in decades. So we can do a more basic service for you and it'll be whatever it was, like probably about that $180 a week or every 2 weeks or whatever they got. Or we can give you this much grander service, which is really going to get this place sparkling, but it's a lot more expensive. And they were like, no, that's not what we want. You're right. You shouldn't be telling stories about how you're right. That's not the point of the story. I'm just saying they were in agreement with me that they did want the more limited service. So I was like, okay, great. We'll get you this more limited service. And I just want you to know that it's not going to pop. We're just doing a basic thing for you. And they were happy with that. And they've been clients for years now. And I don't know, whatever, it's been a year and a half or something. And we love them and they love us. But you might not have, I happen to be there and I own the company, but if it were one of my employees, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that they would have just given them a quote that was really expensive and probably outside of their budget and certainly not even what they wanted. So if that happens, just reach out to the company and say, hey, thanks for your quote. I think we want a more limited service. And then they'll adjust the quote for you, right? They'll give you a quote that is more in line with what you're looking for. At my company, we were eager to be easy to do business with. And I think a lot of companies are. So if something seems a little off or it doesn't seem to fit with exactly what you want, just talk to them or send them an email if you're a millennial and there's no way in hell you're going to get on the phone, or a Gen Z. Okay, so what about paying for your service? So at Dazzle, you put a debit or credit card on file, and we automatically charge that card on the day of each service. Some companies, you pay for the whole month at once, typically in advance. So it's like at the beginning of the month, you pay for the upcoming month's service. And some companies will still let you pay with a paper check or with an ACH payment. So we don't do that at Dazzle, it's just a debit or a credit card, but there's other options. So you could ask about that. Now, should I sign a contract? If you are having a really small, if you're, let's say you have it's a 2,000 square foot dental office, right? There's 6 treatment rooms and a bathroom and a waiting room and a kitchen. You could sign a contract where both parties are agreeing on the terms of the agreement, but I wouldn't sign something saying that you can't cancel for 12 months or whatever, because if you're not happy with the service, you're going to want to be able to cancel. And if I had a client who wasn't happy with the service, I don't know why I would try to be getting them not to cancel. I don't want them to be clients if they're not happy with the service. I want them to find something that works for them. So I'm skeptical of companies that put a cancellation clause in like that. I would be unlikely to sign something like that. Now, there is a big exception to that. Let's say that you have a 10,000 square foot office building and you're having it cleaned every night, 7 days a week, or even 5 days a week. And you're maybe having them do something after lunch every day. So this company has let's say that they have somebody there 30 hours a week for you. If you're in a situation like that, then signing something that has a cancellation clause makes a lot more sense because the company needs the ability to staff up and staff down. But I still wouldn't have it be a year. I would have the clause say something like weeks notice or something like that. My recommendation is not to sign something if you're just getting like a simple, typical, standard cleaning. All right, and now it's time for Dirty Talk. This is Dirty Talk, where we answer all of your filthiest cleaning questions. Whether you're lusting over the fantasy of sparkling clean floors or have been toying with the deep-seated curiosity of where to find the longest, most satisfying extension duster, you've stumbled to the right spot. Welcome to Dirty Talk, where we answer all of your cleaning questions. This week's Dirty Talk: how to clean a cast iron skillet. Okay, so some people say you should never wash a cast iron skillet. This is not true. You absolutely should wash your cast iron skillet. Here's the best way to wash it. Wash it with just a little bit of dish soap in warm water. Never soak it in water. That's a bad idea, but do wash it with just a little bit of dish detergent. And you can use a dish brush, but don't use anything really coarse like steel wool or something like that. It's not a good idea. Don't use a metal brush on it. It can damage the pan. And just a regular plastic scrub brush should be fine. Then rinse it thoroughly and then dry it with a cloth or a paper towel. And my mom taught me this part when I was a kid, and it is, in fact, the best way to do it. Then put the pan onto the burner on your stove, turn it on for 30, 40 seconds so that it dries fully. Then take a little bit of vegetable oil and just drop half a teaspoon in the pan, and then rub it around the inside and outside of the pan with either a paper towel or a cleaning cloth. So you want to get the inside and outside because you want the pan to stay nicely seasoned. And then make sure that it's fully dry, and then put a dry dishcloth or hand towel or paper towel into the pan when it's storing so that any moisture that might get in there gets absorbed so that it doesn't hurt your pan. All right, and that was this week's Dirty Talk. Okay, so let's get into the specifics about what Dazzle cleans at a standard office cleaning. So we empty the trash, the recycling, the compost. We wet wipe tables in public spaces, like there's one in the kitchen or conference rooms, things like that. Dust furniture, including the chair and table bases. Dust and spot check baseboards, doors, door frames, window sills, outlets, light switches. In the bathroom, tubs, toilet sinks, showers, counters, mirrors, floors, restocking toilet paper towels and soap. And in the kitchen, cleaning sinks, counters, exterior appliances, inside and outside of the microwave, and the exterior of the cabinets and drawers. Now, can you modify and add services on top of that? Of course, and that increases your price. Or you can limit the scope, decrease what's done, and that will reduce your price. So typical upgrades that we see are cleaning the tops of the desks, inside of the oven, the fridge, the dishwasher. Sometimes companies want to have the fridge cleaned every time we're there. Nobody ever really wants the dishwasher or the oven cleaned every time, but that's something you might want to have done every few months or once a year, depending on how often you use it. Windows are not included, or sometimes there's like glass walls, windows in between, like inside the office. So it's a window looking from the office to the office. Those aren't included, but you can add them. Dry dusting blinds, erasing dry erase boards, which is like not even expensive. It's not like that's a big upgrade, right? It's just you want to let us know, let your cleaning company know that you want that done, because we don't do it automatically, because sometimes people are planning and whatever, they have stuff on there they don't want to have erased. So you need to let us know. Dusting office equipment, printers, fax machines, whatever, that can also be added on. So in the show notes, I'll drop what is included in the Dazzle standard office cleaning and typical upgrades. And also I'll put that contract so that you have something to compare it to if you're thinking about getting an office cleaning service. All right, that's it. Thanks a latte. Thanks for listening to the Dazzle Podcast. Join us again for more dazzling info next week. Until then, have a fabulous gay-ass week.